Hey everyone, welcome to the next episode of Voice AI podcast where we discuss the future of voice AI. Today I'm super excited to host Alex Bordanova, who is the Chief Product and Technology Officer at Voicemod. Welcome, Alex. Happy to have you.
Thank you. Thanks, David. Thanks for hosting me. It's gonna be interesting today.
Yeah, like very shortly about Voicemod, like I have a snippet from ChatGPT and
Yeah.
correct me if anything is wrong here.
Any
So,
hallucination, right?
yeah, right. So Voicemod, founded in 2014 in Spain, develops AI-driven real-time voice modulation software for gamers, content creators, and streamers. With over 40 million downloads, the company has raised over 20 million in funding and continues innovating in voice AI tech. How does that sound? I asked it to keep it short.
Yeah, this 40 million is already short. I think we are over 50 already. So yeah,
50. All
the
right.
counter
Yeah.
the counter keeps on going. Probably it's a bit updated. Yeah, also voice modulation, I think that covers part of what our experience is. We envision another type of space for voice, which is not just simply how we transform voice, but also the the space for backgrounds and sound effects and other automations that you can trigger with voice, singing, of course. I mean, there's wide space for this. Let's try to cover it today. I think that we have
Yeah.
nice ingredients.
When I look at your website, it says real-time voice changer and soundboard. I was curious about the soundboard part.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe you can start there, like, or like in general, what is it like? You tell me what is it that you're building? What problems you're solving today, right? Let's focus on the
Mm.
present for now.
Yeah, I like to think from a user perspective on the needs that they have. There's a vast uh, area to cover when it comes to having fun with friends online, just engaging with the audience as a streamer. And it usually is not very demanding from a technical point of view. It has more to do with having funny voices or having something like memes, audio memes, or playing some music in the background, that type of actions that are a big business on its own. We prove to monetize that bit. But then there's another use cases that had to do with identity or with immersive gaming, and those are the real challenges. Like if you think about an avatar with a visual side, it really lacks something if there's no sound component aligned to it, right? If you have the avatar of I don't know, if you're playing World of Warcraft and you have a torrent, these big big pools, right? Then you don't want to have the a weak voice or like mine, right? That is not very deep. Maybe I would love to transform that and put it way deeper and showing the volume of the character that you're using, right? So this mismatch is a thing that we are correcting, and it has also a very interesting component when you think it forward and what's the vision on the relationships in the digital space, because more and more it's coming, right? We had that spike back in the days with the metaverse vision. After COVID-19, there was another paradigm, and we had another feeling of the speed in which we will get to that point. Now it seems it's going to be more relaxed, and we will get there eventually. And we're pushing for that vision as well, right? I mean, in fact, if you take a look at Roblox, you take a look at Fortnite, those are already that spaces, and we are already seeing this match in action. And the sounds, the soundscapes, the backgrounds, all that type of assets are just completing that picture in the different use cases that we spot.
So Alex, help me understand. Are you selling an app, or you're also selling technology and integrating into all these games? Like what's the sort of the business model?
Hmm. So our main business is a desktop version of Voicemod. That's what started the whole thing back in the days, and it's the strongest, healthiest business for us. But this is not where it ends. We are already in the App Store. We have a mobile product that it it can run for consoles, because we just developed a few months ago, we released a device that enables voice mod experience for consoles. So it's already for that use case as well. However, that's still a B2C space, right? The B2C component, it's present. You need to purchase that device on our e-commerce, and you get the device, you connect it, and then you can speak with your friends online with Fortnite, but on the console instead of just PC. However, all this runs around our SDK. This SDK is also being integrated into games and communication platforms. It's starting to be a thing. We need to would like to think this is just the initial steps of a way wider thing, discussing about the same concept I was just mentioning before about this integration with the visual and the sonic avatar being merged together. There's nothing better than just providing that for the users. Specifically, when we think about toxicity in game chats, that sort of delusion of who's behind, we believe that can help a lot to reduce the amount of toxicity in the chat, because you don't really know who's behind. It can hide, that's real as well. It can hide the actor, right? The one that is not behaving correctly, but at the same time, it's also protecting the one that could receive potentially just because gender, age, whatever reasons would be harmful. So we see as well a big opportunity over there to integrate Voicemod as an SDK, and it's perfectly ready. And if I may say something, we are very proud because lately we achieved to run all that on mobile. So with our last technology that we are just releasing today, it's a big increase. It's 8 times faster than the previous generation, with help us run on every PC and the vast majority of mobile devices, which for us is a very huge leap forward, keeping quality the same level. This is super fast, like everything as of today, right? Everything related to AI, you can see like very prominent leaps from one stage to the other, and we're just looking at the biggest leap in the recent months for us.
Very cool. So to summarize, basically, you have a desktop app which is architecturally, I guess, similar to Crisp. So it's like a virtual microphone, right? But it's mostly designed for like the voice changing part, and you're adding the avatar sync part, I guess, to it.
Mhm.
And you also have the SDK where anyone building games, if they want to have this rich experience of voice changing sounds, they can integrate their SDK into their app, their game directly,
Mhm.
um, whether it's on mobile, whether it's in desktop. Do you have a web component as well?
So we are now working on what we are calling the ecosystem of products from Voicemod. We have the desktop products for Mac and PC, but we're also now also growing a lot on mobile space, Android and iOS. And we are working on browser. The browser component, the browser experience for Voicemod, is a space for community, because more and more and more, all our content is being created by community. We are going to be doubling down during this year in our tool that is called Voice Designer. Voice Designer is a very specific tool that we developed for ourselves. So our sound designers in the company, which is one of these differentiations that we really love, is that we have specific artists in house building with this tool. We're gonna release that for end users so they can craft the same level of voices, and they are gonna be able to publish them into our community place. But when you ask about the browser, what we're putting in the browser is the window for everyone to upload the content they produce, no matter today it's just sounds, but we are also working on the voices. So the voices are also going to be published from within the product and the browser, and it's like scaling. So value. Last time I checked, I think it was 600,000 sounds made by the community, and the voices it's around 2000 already, and it's moving on
And
on on and the browser
is
is
it
like perfect window for us to acquire all those users thanks to the content that they're producing.
very cool? So is it you also have a marketplace of sounds and voices then? Like anyone can upload like a voice they have designed
Yes,
to your
yes,
marketplace.
exactly. Yeah, we
Okay.
we like to think that this flywheel, this marketplace that you're mentioning, is something that is from the community for the community. You also need to understand that our use case is very on trends. So trends direct a lot. You can tell from the content that the users play. So
Mm.
you from one week to the other, this new video game just sprout, and there you go. Like everyone's like using. Just imagine Squid Game that was released. The
Right.
series, the second season was released not too long ago. I haven't watched it yet, so no spoilers. The that week, that same week, the Squid Game memes and voices suddenly were created. They were released. We were not ready. I mean, we did nothing about that, but suddenly those were riding and new business kicked in just because all those users out there that were looking for for that experience because they were playing on Roblox. The Roblox game for Squid Game got a huge spike, and they were looking for the sounds of the red light and green light, and they just to prank the others and let them make mistakes. So we saw that like immediately in the graphs, right? Like all our metrics went crazy with this, and that's the type of things that we want to make sure that just work on their own. Like it just like it's created by users, it's consumed by users, and our product is just facilitating that connection from the ones that provide and the ones that use. Right? That's the old classic
Yeah.
marketplace mix.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I didn't know you guys have marketplace, and it makes perfect sense, especially for sound, like for sounds and like yeah, all these use cases you mentioned, examples you mentioned. But I guess like they come and go very fast, right? And you
Exactly.
on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
trend,
That's
and
that's the that's a key
me,
aspect. We cannot really be ready for a trend. We bet on trends. So just imagine GTA 6 is about to come. Of course, we are already like designing stuff. We need some weeks, right? We need months, maybe, because we are pretty sure this is gonna kick like very heavily. But there's many little things that we're not catching. We just caught
oh
them
yeah.
like 3-4 days after. It's like, hey, what was that? And that's too late. If you want to start the machine, then you're late. That happened as well with us with a Space Marine 2 video game that we were ready because we wanted to be ready like 1 year ago. I'm a big fan of Warhammer universe, and I was like very keen on having something around that space. And we were ready just because we were from before. And then other sounds, other voices were created, and we were not like even making them. It just happened that way. It's very organic. And that's
Yeah,
magic.
Alex, a bit off topic. Do you know what is a meme coin? Meme
Meme
coin?
coin on the Web3
Yeah,
space,
yeah.
like yeah,
It's
mhm.
it's like that, right? So like they
Yeah,
create these
absolutely.
coins based on trends. It takes 2, 3 days probably, and then like they stick around
And
on
if you're late,
idea.
you're just paying the bills.
It's like similar to that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, Alex, like let's talk about um, like yeah, yeah. Well, I do have actually one technical question. When we look at uh, text-to-speech technology that has been, progressing quite well in the last couple of years, and we are already seeing like TTS that has like pretty low latency. I think like maybe like 70 millisecond or something that has been released recently. Is that a sort of similar? Do you see it as a similar sort of technology from voice for the voice changing part, or you
So
need
speech-to-speech
way like
technology resembling the same like speed up
same,
in terms
like
of quality and performance from that we are seeing on text-to-speech? Absolutely, yes. Yeah. As I mentioned before, our last generation is way faster. That is allowing us to run on mobile because it's like 8 times faster than the previous generation. But if you compare to the first generation, like it's already 3 years ago, first generation of voices, it was not even a voice. I listened to that and it was like a saxophone, right? It was like, is that even speaking or not? And it was consuming like 60% of a very interesting CPU, like an A7. Now and run on a 1% of of that same CPU. So it's very, very, very different. Um, there's like many challenges when it comes to AI voices. It's not exactly the same, although it shares part of the challenges than text to speech. But the fact that in text to speech you have the future because you know the whole context, right? That makes already difference. I mean, in real time text to speech, in real time speech to speech, you need to challenge that you don't know what's coming next. If you want to know what's coming next, then you need more buffer. That buffer will break the conversation. You want real time, so you want to keep it short, but you need to predict sort of what's going to be said next. So the pitch is stable, right? And the intonation is not a robot, because you could say, yeah, let's make it super robust. Okay, then you just speak all the time like a robot and you don't do these inflections, which is something that you cannot guess. So having naturalness, having speed, so no latency, and also having speed in terms of performance, so it's not running like you don't need the best computer ever to run it, because our users play with a very intense games at the same time as we speak, right? So we need to keep it short. That was the real challenge, and just 3 years, I mean, it has changed completely the paradigm, and
Very
it's not
cool.
easy. It's not easy.
Very,
Like,
oh yeah, I know it's not easy. It's like the latency and the CPU constraint are
yeah,
just that
we
is
maybe probably your listeners here have like some audio background, but just to reframe like more or less the conversation, how I like to take it is we always think about three axes. One's like latency, the other one's performance, and the other one is audio quality. And these three axes usually pull the others, right? So when you want to make it super low latency, you're going to harm probably the others. So you need to grow on all of them at the same time. We want to make best quality, no latency, and no cost, right? That's like perfect. Um, when we speak about audio quality, we are speaking about so many things. What's what's good quality? Well, intelligibility. That's the basic for the message. If there's no way to communicate a message, no matter how natural or how good it sounds to you, it's not going to be used, right? That's what we have voices like that. We call them paralanguages, which are the voice of a dog or the voice of a villager from Minecraft or whatever it is, an Ewok. That all the type of stuff resembles something, but you cannot really perceive what it's saying.
Hmm.
That's easy, right? But when you have that plus the message, then things go more into another depth of a problem. And then there's another aspect, another component is how natural it is. How are you really resembling that thing that you want to match? So if you want to do like gender swap, right? How realistic it is, how much you can perceive that there's a real thing in there, or the language, right? So I can speak in Spanish, Spanish to Spanish, or I can speak Spanish to English, or some other language, right? Japanese. There's going to be many challenges. So these connections in 40 milliseconds time, it's very, very crazy, right? This phone to phone, we need to remember we do not work from speech to speech because we want to keep the intonation, we want to keep the natural flow. So it's phoneme to phoneme. So
yeah.
Spanish ta to English ta probably is not the same, right? There needs to be a match, and that's where things you need to train very large models. Large models do not behave very great at a local in a local machine, low resources. So there's again these different axes that pull off, and
Yeah.
that's a big
No,
challenge.
I'm very familiar with that actually because we have a technology that um, we have an accent conversion technology
Hmm.
that pretty much like very similar constraints,
Yeah,
latency, audio quality, and CPU cost, right? And and it works on phoneme to phoneme sort of level. So I'm very familiar with it. And it's like
yeah.
very
Actually, the same
difficult,
tech behind. Mhm.
very difficult problem. Very cool, Alex. Let's talk about the future, like from your perspective, from Voicemod perspective. Where do you see the interesting developments in voice AI in the next, 2, 3 years, maybe 5 years? Um, like, how do you envision the product to evolve, but
Mhm.
also the technology to evolve? Like, what's top of your mind?
Yeah. So that's a very interesting question because that goes so fast that ideas that I had just 1 year ago are already like not just done, but even have commoditized. So I tend to think that, of course, we're going to be running in every device, no matter what are the specs. I tend to think as well that we are going to be beating the every language inside a very small model that can run on every device with no very high cost. But that's not probably too challenging today. That's a thing that we're probably covering. So I guess that one of the parts that we will see throughout the next times to happen is this integration between the visual and the sonic avatar and
Mm.
how that really interconnects. Not too long ago, I was thinking about the total connection with lip sync and voices at the same time, like interconnection the other way, like say a keyword, and that triggers something on the visual side. So I see some sort of API connection between the visual and sonic side. So they start to be more blend. But the more and more we progress on the Gen AI space, I start to believe that it could be just one single model instead of like two layers speaking together. More and more like trying to this multimodal for real-time voice conversion and visual generation. I don't know. This is accelerating so fast that um, this could
I'm sorry,
create.
I need to clarify this. When you say
Yeah.
like visual, I think visual generation, you said
Yes.
visual, visual. So are you also like, is it a dynamic avatar? You mean?
Yeah, but not on our side. We're not researching on the visual side. No, I mean, more and more we see that type of technology around us and like blending the different layers between the visual and the sonic side, being more intertwined. I think that's a thing that will come eventually. But even looking forward, I start to think that it could even be one single thing, right? That we see technology that can produce every type of asset all at the same time, which for that I don't have any clue. It's just a sci-fi mind here trying to predict crazy stuff. Um, and then I also believe that we are going to be looking at more creative tools to generate that. So on the prompt to voice generating, and that's a thing that we will see not too long because on the line because we're working on something for that you could upload a picture and that picture could extract like all the components because that's a fairly simple thing to do now. And with that components, hey, this is the voice that matches this visual avatar. And because we believe that the user wants just one click effects. So you want this, oh, this is the picture or this is like the prompt, and then you get it. And that will work. That's a thing that I think it's very convenient. I mean, the more the users create content, the more information we have of the type of content they're looking for, and hence we can like be ready and have the tools so they can build that. And then there's another angle that more and more I think we are going to be looking at is the IP space, branded content, original content being produced by the big owners of these properties that are still reluctant to that sort of steps into the voice changing, which I truly understand. And I think that with enough time, we can prove that this makes sense for them as well. We did with Rovio. We had an Angry Birds voice, which was a bird language voice, by the way. You couldn't really pronounce any bit. And that's the type of things that take time, right? These companies are big companies. They have a lot of lawyers. They have a lot of concerns to have a misbehavior with their IP, which is a fair thing to have. But I believe this will be unblocked, and we will start looking not just at Fortnite avatars, right, with all these amazing IPs that they have today, but they will also have the voice, the ability to speak with the voice of the character. That's going to be a reality. So for that, we need to be very small. We need to be very convenient, easy to integrate, and we need to have the rights as we are we shown with Warner and Rovio and all those partners that counted on us to keep care of their properties.
Yeah, this is so cool. So like let me sort of summarize for myself and for everyone else, I guess. So first thing you said, like basically continue improving the models, the quality of the models through like different languages and so on, right? And that's something you guys are already working on. You're just going to continue working on this. You also mentioned about prompt to voice, which is a very cool idea. Like basically, if you want to create a new voice, and it could be just a prompt or like an image overlay that you provide and say like generate a voice, like a new, completely new voice. I think there's so many use cases for that, right? And the third is like the branded content. Like you wanna is the goal to like make this branded content available in your marketplace as well? Is that the idea?
Yeah, I mean, we have it already. We have a store and you can purchase different sounds and voices. We have a partnership now with the World of Tanks, and we have the different voices for their video games. And yeah, that's another type of business model on the top of the subscriptions and the licenses that we have is to purchase specific premium content from a store. And we believe there's a big space as well to conquer. I mean, IP is probably one of the biggest business in entertainment possible. Lucas did that, right, with the first release of the merchandising of Star Wars back in the days in the 60s, 70s. And I mean, we are here today looking at the miracle of what he built. So,
Yep. And then last question, Alex, about like voice agents, right? Voice bots, voice agents. These folks also need voices, right? Do you anticipate these companies that build voice agents to license your like or like to import or integrate your SDKs into their software as
mm.
well and use your voices or like how that does
So
that?
yeah, I think that that's more an angle for the text to speech, right? So being able to produce a perfect voice matching the character of that agent and being able to produce different different emotions on the listener because the agent could be done with use for everything. Um, we, I'm quite sure that we are gonna be taking a look at this because we also had at the beginning of 2023 text to speech in our core product. We changed versions to the new one. Business was saying that was not very convenient for us to keep investing into text to speech. However, we still have the request from users, and now it's a commodity. Honestly, it has changed a lot. It's not the same as 3, 4 years ago. That paradigm has changed a lot. So, as part of our palette of services that we can offer, yes, I think that we are going to be able to offer that at some point. But my priority list tends to be slim. I want to keep focus on less things and text to speech. I'm not really sure. We'll have to take a look at this.
Got it. Well, Alex, thanks so much for coming today and sharing your insights, your vision. It's very, very cool what you guys are doing. I don't have like folks outside B2B world or like call center world as a guest in on my podcast. So this is very refreshing, and it's also great to see what you guys are doing in the entertainment business, right?
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for hosting us. It's been amazing. Thanks, David.